Hi everyone, just a quick introduction about the episode today. Well, today I interviewed nutritionist Dr Monika Gostic from the University of Aberdeen. She shares her expertise on nutrition and wellness, focusing on personalisation and the gut microbiome. The episode explores the connection between nutrition, mental health, and the lifestyle choices for optimal well-being. As is usual, I split the interview into two. I really do hope you enjoy our chat.
So you're thinking about running, but not sure how to take the first step. My name is Brian Patterson, and I'm here to help. Welcome to Brian's ROMpod. Well, hey there, runners and health enthusiasts. Welcome back to another episode of Brian's ROMpod. I'm your host, Brian Patterson, and today we have a truly inspiring guest joining us. She's a multi-award-winning nutritionist, a dedicated scientist, and the founder of the Breaking Bad movement, Balanced, Authentic, Deserving. Dr Gostich has been recognised 6 times for her innovative approach to wellness, most recently receiving the Excellence Award in the Wellness Innovation in 2024 for Scotland. Her work focuses on managing chronic conditions through personalised nutrition and lifestyle medicine. As she puts it, in Scotland, chronic diseases are a growing concern, but if 60% of people manage their health through lifestyle interventions like balanced nutrition and regular physical activity, the economic and social benefits would be transformative. Beyond her accolades, Dr. Gostich is a teaching fellow of the University of Aberdeen, collaborating with the Rowett Institute to ensure her approach is backed by the latest scientific research. She's also a competitive powerlifter and a mother embodying balance she advocates for. In today's episode, we'll dive into Monika's journey, her philosophy on nutrition, and practical tips for runners, including to optimize their health. So lace up your running shoes and get ready for an enlightening conversation with Dr. Monika. Hope you enjoyed that.
That was great. Thank you.
Anyway, like I like to do with most of my guests, is go back to, high school. Was exercise, were you naturally a gifted athlete, or were you very much someone who was quite academic?
I was always very academic and I absolutely detested sports.
Oh, right.
Anything to do with movement, that was not my jam at all. I was actually overweight my entire life,
All right.
and physical education turned out to be a torture for me because the teachers didn't really adjust the levels to those of us who didn't have sporty background or who didn't have the parents who would encourage movement in house. So I was definitely an academic. I was always the smartest kid on the block,
Right.
and I was a musician in those
Oh, right.
times. So I spent my days sitting down and playing an instrument rather than running around the block like most of the other kids did.
What instrument were you playing?
Clarinet.
Clarinet. Oh, right. Okay. Woodwind. Excellent.
Yes,
Yes.
it was great. Loved it. But times change. So now we swapped that, and now I do exercise very fondly,
Yeah.
very regularly, and I don't play music anymore. You have to
Oh,
choose your stuff.
What was that transition? I mean, did you go to university, and was there kind of like a point when you're at university and then I thought, oh, well, I'll give this a try?
It's a little bit more complex than that. As I
Okay.
mentioned, I was overweight my
Yeah.
entire life,
Yeah.
and I was marginalized because of that.
All right.
My family tried to help me, in inverted quotes, in ways of trying to force me to diet, splitting meals. Whenever we went places, they would police what I would be eating.
Yeah.
Instead of teaching me really how to get to the root cause, which was mostly emotional.
Yeah.
And I struggled a lot with feelings of isolation and shame, which I found comfort in the fridge
Oh,
and,
right.
and
Okay.
in the pantry.
Okay.
So that translated in low self-esteem and a lot of other issues.
Yeah.
So as I kind of went into teenage years and then started being a bit older, like 16, 17, I started dieting like a champion.
Oh, right. Okay.
I tried every single diet under the sun.
Yeah.
And I did what every other person does. I started over exercising and
All
under
right.
eating in
Right.
order to lose that weight that was causing me so much trouble my entire life. And I did, of course, for a while until I burned, crashed,
All right.
and all of it came back with vengeance.
Oh, I see.
So I think this is a typical yo-yo dieter's approach when you don't really understand what you're doing to your body, and all you do is try to follow the calories in, calories out approach where you say, well, if I just stop eating as much and start exercising more, I should lose weight. And this is kind of like the start of me going to the gym and starting to do movement. Quite funnily, my dad is a marathon runner.
All right. Okay. That's good.
And
Good transition into.
yeah. I always like watched him go for runs, and I even went for one of his trainings. I was on a bike and he was running, and I was still sore the next day,
Yeah.
and he was fine. But I've never had any passion for cardiovascular kind of like training. This
Yeah.
is why I'm a power lifter now.
Right.
And I just absolutely struggled with running.
Mm.
But later on, I then managed to learn about nutrition. I utilized my scientific background, put a lot of mindset work forward, and I managed to lose over 4 stone of weight, like about 55 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's when movement started becoming enjoyable and started to feel like a privilege rather than punishment.
Oh, okay.
And the rest is history. I've then started going to gyms. I've tried different types of exercise. I've been regularly doing 5Ks. I've done quite a few 10Ks.
Okay.
Never did the marathon. No, I don't think I will. But I've started familiarizing myself with how my body actually does work and what I need to do for optimal recovery, and to not repeat that crash and burn cycle that I was way too familiar with.
I mean, I know pre the interview I kind of gave you an outline, but there are some various interesting things there that when you're approached to, because I know you do a online consultation, do you think it starts from what's the relationship people have with food? Does it start there?
I firmly believe that is one of the key aspects of how people behave and why they come to the point where they are in their health.
Right.
A lot of times, what we forget is that mental stress and mental health impact our physical health as well. So it's not just about what you eat and how much you move. It goes way beyond that. And this is why I don't support calories in, calories out approach anymore, because I've learned there is a lot more at play than just that.
Yeah.
People come from many different backgrounds. Health is extremely personal topic. So what I think is healthy, you might think it's absolutely crazy. Who would even eat that, right?
Yeah.
So this is where the topic of culture comes in, and different upbringings, different environments. But a lot of people have certain relationships to food, especially if you were, I guess, brought up in older times like we did, like 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
It's very unpleasant messaging around food, body image, what is good, what is bad, and how we're supposed to do things. And nowadays, when I work with menopausal women, I can still see that fear from eating. They're actually scared to eat because the messaging from those times is so engraved that, anything fat is bad for you. You shouldn't eat fat.
Right.
But that is absolutely not true. And fat is incredibly important for optimal functioning of our nervous system. But that is just something that has been put out there when we were growing up. And this puts fear into yourself, because what you want to do is you want to stay healthy your entire body. And then someone comes and says, well, if you do this, you'll die.
Right.
And you start being scared. So instead of understanding how your body works and how you can eat and how you can still have some treats and fun in your life, but still remain healthy, you are now absolutely terrified. And this connection between fear and stress and mental stress with your physical health is then leading towards increasing inflammation in our body, which is then the root cause to all chronic conditions.
Right. Because I can just think that every week there's something on the news, even not every couple of weeks, there's something on the news that so and so is not good for you, or so and so is good for you, and it sort of changes so much that it's not surprising that people can get confused about what to eat, and and how to sort of go forward with their lifestyle.
Definitely. And I think we have now identified why is this happening. In science, in scientific world, what science actually is a snapshot of reality. So a snapshot of knowledge that we have right now, right? So it's ever evolving, it's ever changing. So 50 years ago, there wasn't many people talking about gut microbiome and bacteria that lives inside of our gut and all of that kind of stuff. Nowadays, it is the topic of research. Like, it is so important that everyone is connecting so many things to our microbiome.
Right.
So when we're moving forward, when we're going to have new technologies and we're going to have new expanding knowledge, who knows what we're going to find out then? But now we know what is true at this moment in time. On top of that, human microbiome, which most people also don't realize, is more unique than a fingerprint. And you can go to Netflix and you can watch the twin studies, and you can watch quite a lot of interesting documentaries where they put genetically identical people together and looked at their microbiome and saw that it was completely different. And then they wonder, why is one twin thin and lean and healthy and the other one morbidly obese?
Right.
Well, it's the microbiome changes that are happening there. So we are all very different, and there is no one solution.
So when you talk about the
health.
microbiome, what do you mean?
Microbiome is a collection of gut bacteria, viruses, all the genes, all the metabolites that I call bacterial poop. So if you can imagine, when you have your gut, you eat food, your bacteria eats the food that you eat, and then it poops out something that is scientifically called metabolite. And these metabolites go around the body, and then they affect our health.
Right. Okay. So obviously, from what you're saying, it is very much, it is different to every person. So what you're saying is that how we digest our food is different to, let's say, the next person. So this, as you were saying, really goes against the general theory, or what was the theory 20, 30 years ago, about what you take in. Well, even when I was a gym instructor, what you're taking in and what you take out. And how you expend is how you lose weight, or also called how you would, have a healthier lifestyle.
It used to be you are what you eat.
Yes,
then
I was going to say
then it became you are what you digest. But now it is you are what you absorb.
Right.
So if you look at the worldwide population and what you mentioned in the introduction, it is 60%, if not even more, of global population has a chronic condition. With chronic condition, how do we develop a chronic condition? It doesn't just happen. Chronic means something that's been happening over time for a long time. And the root cause to basically every chronic condition out there is chronic inflammation. And we can have this inflammation all over the body, but in majority of cases, it's inside of our gut. It's those imbalances that we get because of antibiotics, chronic stress, sedentary lifestyle, trauma. There's a lot of mental health stuff that impacts that as well. And we develop these imbalances inside of our gut. And if I oversimplify it, I can say we have goodies and we have baddies inside of our gut. And they're supposed to be having this harmonious life. But instead, because of these imbalances and disruptions to our gut health, they are now in the scenario of Star Wars. They've got their lasers, they're shooting themselves, each other, and all of that. They're fighting. So there's entire war happening inside of your gut. And you feel it in a way of feeling tired. When you wake up, you're already tired. Suddenly you've got these aches and pains in your muscles that you never used to have. You have this kind of brain fog. Your thoughts are not as clear as they used to be. Your productivity is low. You suddenly started gaining weight for no reason, even if you haven't changed anything. And you're just really, really moody. And that is chronic inflammation.
Right. So basically, there are so many factors. It's not just about knowing what's a carbohydrate, your protein, your vitamins. There are so many things at play. And it's trying to find, from what you were saying, is trying to find that right balance.
Absolutely. And that is different from person to person. And this is why it's so important to work with someone who does know these things, that they can guide you towards optimal health and optimal lifestyle for you and not for your neighbor or your brother.
Right. Okay. So being a nutritionist, or from your point of view, is very much, it's a very complex field, because you're taking on, you're not just saying, well, here's a diary, right, what you've written for the last 2 weeks, come back and then I'll tell you what you've done wrong or what you've done right. Is that right? Is that fair?
I mean, it's a part of it. It's a big part, absolutely, because awareness is the first step towards action. So if you are aware what you're doing, then you will be very likely able to address things. So food diaries are a big thing, but I work in a unique way. I don't work the way the most nutritionists do.
Right.
I actually don't give my clients meal plans.
Right.
Because as an educator in higher education as well, what I learned is that if I give students a video recording of me talking about a specific scientific topic, they will maybe remember 15%.
If that.
Right? If that. I would be very lucky if they do. If I give them like a PowerPoint as well, half of them, if not even more, are going to sleep in the lecture.
Right. Okay.
But if I turn this around and involve them in this participation, instead of telling them stuff, I'm not talking at them. I am involving them in the process. That has proven to have a lot larger knowledge retention. And that's what I translated into my business. So instead of me talking at my client and telling them what they're doing wrong, I show them and I tell them to do it the next day. So, for example, in my program, they have to submit their daily food diary every single day, and they get a daily feedback onto it. So it's not like, here's your meal plan, keep your food diary, come back in a month. But it's like, no, I'm not giving you a meal plan. You show me how you live, and I'll take you by the hand. And every single day, we're going to take small steps into direction that fits your lifestyle and that suits your daily routine to achieve optimal health. And this has been working absolutely beautifully. And people are getting amazing results without anxiety, without the burnout, and without massive food bills as well.
Yeah. So do you think before we kind of get into the specifics, but do you think that when you're making those changes, it kind of has a chain reaction to, they're feeling better at work, they've got the energy to exercise at the end of the day, better performance, if they are, interested in us to, reducing their 5K time or whatever?
I would fully expect that. Yes, absolutely. Because we're not just eating to maintain our weight.
Yeah.
We're eating to maintain a complex system of biochemical processes,
Yeah.
and it's all connected together. So if you eat for your gut health and if you eat to reduce the inflammation, if you strive towards anti-inflammatory lifestyle, then your energy is definitely going to shoot up. You're going to feel less pains and aches and discomfort. You're going to be a lot more productive in whatever you're doing. You're going to have clearer thinking. And my favorite part for most of my clients is the fact that their mood improves to such extent that they're finally able to enjoy their family time again, rather than
Yes.
struggling through it and then burning out in the end.
Mm. So I know everyone's different, and I know you can't. It's very hard to give a generic. But what do you think people get wrong in terms of their, their gut health or their food intake?
Let's take a quick break.
Hi, Brian and Brian's Run Pod listeners. I'm Merrily, author of Just Run. Just Run is the perfect gift for every runner or anyone thinking about starting running in 2025. In my book, I share my journey from barely hitting 3,000 steps a day to becoming an ultra runner in just a few years. A few months ago, I completed my first 100-mile race. Just Run is packed with practical tips for beginner runners. Running is for everyone. You don't have to be fast to go far. You just need to run your own way. That's what Just Run is all about. You can grab your copy on Amazon, including on Kindle Unlimited, or get a signed copy from my website, merrilyruns.co.uk. Feel free to reach out to me on my website or through my socials at merrilyruns.
Hey, this is Andrea, popping up from Sydney, Australia to say hello and to thank Brian for creating a forum which is so beneficial for those of us who are seeking a richer experience of running. If you're like me, you probably run for a host of reasons. These might include time alone, mental health, personal accomplishments, or maybe reclaiming a sense of self, possibly for the first time in a long time. And you might have noticed that the narrative around running is also changing. Until recent years, you probably mostly heard it talked about through the lens of metrics. Things like getting faster, getting stronger, getting thinner, getting better, getting a spot on the podium. But thanks to voices like Brian's, more and more we're starting to think about running as a means to becoming a better person, to enjoying the morning, to achieving a fundraising goal, or maybe just making yourself proud. And if that sounds like you and you're interested in getting some coaching support for whatever your running journey looks like, I invite you to take a look at Run with the Slow Coach. I host a global coaching community for older, slower, bigger, injured, and back-of-the-pack runners. I'm fully accredited through Athletics Australia. I'm endorsed by the Australian Trail and Ultra Runners Association. And in 2023, I won a local business award for the most outstanding fitness service. I coach online and I promise to keep you accountable because I know what it takes to start a running journey, especially if you're not talented or you haven't been active your whole life. And I believe that runners like us deserve all the science, all the rigor, all the empathy, and especially all the support to safely progress to whatever your finish line looks like. And I'm really here for that. So find out more by following me on socials at Run with the Slow Coach or visit runwiththeslowcoach.com. I really am passionate about the life-changing benefits of being active. And I'm grateful to Brian for everything he does in this space. And now, back to you. Thanks so much.
Well, first of all, the thing that I feel strongly about that people really shouldn't be doing is that they follow fad diet trends and they eliminate entire food groups.
Right.
So current fad trends are carnivore and keto diet, where on carnivore diet, all they eat is meat and animal products.
Right.
And on the keto diet, it's a high fat, high protein diet, again, eliminating carbohydrates completely or as much, like almost to the minimum. And that is, again, completely unique approach to certain things is fear-mongering people and is telling people that, you can't lose weight otherwise, except if you do this. Now, what they're doing in this process, and they don't understand, is that by elimination of specific nutrient out of their diet, they're also eliminating those bacteria that are present in our gut that are
Right.
known, that are the ones that like to eat those nutrients.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of our best friends are the bacteria that likes fiber. And
Right.
fiber can be found in vegetables, fruits, and grains.
Yeah.
And those are our besties. When we feed them, they create metabolites that are fantastic for our nervous system, brain health, and a lot of other things.
Mm.
And by eliminating those in the name of losing weight, which is what these diets promise, we are damaging our gut. So when you stop eating like that, and if you want to introduce any vegetable, fruit, or grain back into your diet, you will struggle because you don't have the bacteria to
Right.
process them. So suddenly you will start bloating. You will start feeling pain when you eat vegetables, and you will say, oh, well, I just can't process it. Therefore, I should stick to a keto diet or a carnivore diet because it's better for me.
Right.
What people don't understand is that it wasn't this diet that made you feel better. It was the exclusion of specific type of products that you used to eat and now don't eat anymore.
Mm.
That is what made you feel better.
Mm.
So scientifically, at the moment, the most supported diet that brings the best results is Mediterranean.
Right.
And
Yes, I've
we are
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are also starting to see a new diet development that is called protein forward Mediterranean. So Mediterranean diet, but with emphasis to slightly higher protein than what normal Mediterranean diet usually does. And
Right.
this is bringing beautiful results. It's anti-inflammatory. It contains healthy fats. It contains fibrous foods that are so important for us, but it also contains lovely sources of protein and diverse sources of protein, which is very important.
So a couple of things I picked up on there is that like diets which are very, let's say, I know a friend of mine is basically saying they were told to just have their carbohydrates early in the morning and then just, have, ignore and have protein sort of rest of the day. So, or there's those sort of, fasting diets, fasting on a couple of days, 5-2 type diets. And sometimes, I was thinking to myself and said, a diet is only for a specific time period. So it means that it's not something that you have forever. It's basically you have to go back to where you were before. And, I can't help thinking that can't be good because obviously, if you can't sustain it for that long. And as to how your body will react when you do go back to eating normally, like you said, you haven't
Yeah.
educated your gut properly.
It's very hard, and I can empathize with people who are not in the field.
Yeah.
All they do is go on Google and try to find solutions because they are in discomfort. So people who are trying to improve their health, they're taking proactive steps forward. They go on Google, they go on YouTube, and they're suddenly bombarded by all these people telling them a million different things.
Hmm.
Now, fasting is also highly researched.
Yeah.
I find it quite interesting because fasting is not necessary to the extent that some people take it if you just followed your normal rhythm, your normal
Right.
natural fasting rhythm. What in my culture, what we tend to do, for example, is that we would have a breakfast. Our lunch would be the biggest meal of the day. And then for dinner, we would have something small, really, in the evening.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't really eat after 6, 7 p.m. at all. Now, with the opening of 24-hour shops, with food deliveries, with all of that stuff nowadays, we can access food nonstop. And what some cultures also have is that, they would eat or they wouldn't eat until lunchtime, and then they would have their biggest meals at 10 p.m. Like Spain and Portugal, maybe even Latin America, they're
that's
known
true.
to
That's
eat
true.
really, really late
Yeah.
because of the hotness of the day.
Yeah.
So in my culture, we naturally fast between, say, 7 p.m. and 9 in the morning,
Yeah.
right? That is just, it is normal because you stop with your dinner and you start with your breakfast. But people have started eating 24 hours a day. And this is why people who are researching nutrition and researching fasting say, oh, fasting is great. You should be doing fasting, promoting a diet rather than introducing awareness to people and say, well, actually, your natural rhythm is, some of us are 9 to 5ers, some of us are night owls, and some of us are early risers. And if you're a 9 to 5er, then you have no business eating past 7 o'clock in the evening. And you should have your breakfast slightly delayed. And that is your 16 hours in already.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as with everything, wherever people are present, they like to overcomplicate things, sensationalize things, also monetize things. And from a simple research to improve someone's diabetes or to
Yeah.
improve someone's epileptic seizure, an influencer who knows science very surface like has taken this and made it into a fad.
Right. Okay. Because everyone, like, I know everyone has different work patterns. I know when I used to do shift work, it's very difficult to go on, let's say, the 5-2 diet when maybe the shift pattern, I once a week or once or twice a week, I'll do a very early shift, and I'd be starving by the end of the day. So it doesn't necessarily work for everyone.
No, absolutely. And that is why it's so important to individualize these approaches. I have worked with lots of women who are shift workers as well, and they work together with me to figure out how to strategize their eating around their shift work and outside of the shift work. And as soon as I understood their rhythm, we were able to then implement changes. And they weren't hungry, and quite quite the opposite. A lot of people who come to me, the first kind of like aha moment is like, you mean to tell me I will lose weight if I eat more?
Yes. Yeah, I've heard that before.
And I go,
Yeah.
yes, you will. And it does turn out to be exactly that. But the biggest issue that I have with this is that the clients are very, very resistant to leaving that fear behind because they're scared to actually eat. And that's what's my biggest obstacle when I coach.
What, they're scared to eat more?
Yes, they firmly believe that the quantity of food is connected to their weight gain.
Right.
But I keep telling them it's not actually how much you eat, is what you eat. So don't eat less, eat right.
Yeah.
Because if you eat a massive plate of vegetables and fish and beans and pulses and all of that, you are stuffed to your neck.
Yeah.
But in terms of nutrients, you've given your body so much
Yeah.
that your body is overjoyed.
Yeah.
And also it's keeping you full for so long that you're not craving chocolate, you're not craving crisps, you don't snack, you don't engage in behaviors that normally you would because you're basically starving.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap for another exhilarating episode of Brian's Run Pod. Thanks for tuning in, folks. As always, we've got your back with all things running. And next week, get ready for some more awesome beginner hints and tips to kickstart your running journey. Don't forget, you can now send me a message. Yep, you heard it right. Brian's Run Pod has now become interactive with the audience. If you look at the top of the episode description, tap on send us a text message. You can now tell me what you think of the episode, or alternatively, what you would like covered. If you're lucky, I might even read them out on the podcast. Hey, if you want to keep up with all the latest updates, behind the scenes fun, and even some exclusive content, make sure to follow me on social media. We've also launched a shiny new Facebook page. Just simply search for Brian's Run Pod and give us a like. And don't forget to hop over to Instagram, where you can catch all our visual adventures at Brian's Run Pod. For those of you who love diving deep into the episodes, head over to our website, www.briansrunpod.co.uk, and there you'll find some detailed show notes and handy chapter markers, making it easy to navigate through your favourite discussions. Please leave a review, as it will help others find this podcast. Music is by Happy Day by Stock Audio, not forgetting artwork by Alice Patterson. And also thank you to my producer, Anna Patterson. So till next week, thanks again for listening.